Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
What's going on, guys? Unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're all doing well, and in this video we have an update here for the Ahsoka Tano series, so without further ado, we're gonna hop right on into it. Rosario Dawson, who plays the live-action Ahsoka Tano, reveals the most exciting part of the Disney Plus spinoff in an article from the Direct. Of course, I'm gonna have that full article linked down in the description down below in case you wanted to read it for yourselves. We're gonna go ahead and hop right on into what this article has to offer here for a little bit of an update here for the Ahsoka Tano series. It's going to be the next upcoming live-action series after the Mandalorian Season 3 in February of 2023. And from what we also know officially from Star Wars is that it is currently in production and it is filming as of right now. So as the article goes on to read, after Star Wars The Clone Wars was discontinued following Disney's purchase of Lucasfilm, Ahsoka wasn't seen again until she appeared in another animated show, Star Wars Rebels. The character finally appeared in live action for the first time in Season 2 of The Mandalorian, played by actress Rosario Dawson, which I have to say has done a phenomenal job. Not long after, Disney and Lucasfilm officially announced that Rosario Dawson would be headlining her own Disney Plus series titled Ahsoka. Ahsoka also appeared within an episode of the book of Boba Fett as well. As the article reads, the series is set to release on Disney Plus sometime in 2023. Nothing has been officially released to the public as far as a teaser, but fans were able to get a little bit of a teaser and sneak peek here of what to see here that attended Star Wars Celebration exclusively of what the Ahsoka show will be looking like. That footage reportedly included a shot of Hera Syndulla and Ahsoka inside the ghost ship, as well as revealing Sabine Wren at the end of the actual teaser itself, who's going to be played by Natasha Liu. Since then, the actual footage here that was exclusively shown at Star Wars Celebration has leaked around a little bit online here, but it's been heavy on the copyright strikes, so it's a little bit scarce to be seen. We did talk about it here on the channel here, and I did actually show that footage, well, at least a really bad version of that footage. It was totally slowed down quite a bit. However, the main point of that video is that we did actually get to look at a few stills there for what that leaked footage had to offer. You guys can check that video out now here on the channel. So, what is the excitement that Ahsoka is going to bring, as Rosario Dawson states? In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, actress Rosario Dawson sat down to talk about headlining the Disney Plus series Ahsoka. Rosario Dawson talked about, quote, the most exciting part, ending quote, of the show, and even used the word mysterious when describing Ahsoka as an overall character, which is a very great way to really describe her, especially at this point in time of her character in the Star Wars universe timeline. Of course, she has shown up within The Mandalorian and now within the book of Boba Fett, but we don't really know all that much about her current state of her character, how she's feeling emotionally and all that type of stuff, her emotional journey, and what the main journey she really is on here that we're going to be seeing in the Ahsoka Tano show. We do have a little bit of a clue with that, as we saw in The Mandalorian Season 2, is that she is after Grand Admiral Thrawn, who was a main villain from Star Wars Rebels. In the full quote of what she has to say, and quote, what I love is that these little things we've gotten to hint at in other shows, such as The Mandalorian or the Book of Boba Fett, we get to more deeply explore, Dawson explains. I think whether you've seen the previous animations or have only seen these episodes, such as in The Mandalorian or within the Book of Boba Fett, she's still quite a mysterious character at this stage and a point of her life. That's what I think is the most exciting part of Ahsoka and her show, having her own series here, that you get to better understand her in this part of her journey. Ending the quote right there, and this is exactly what I just said. We don't really know exactly where she's at in this point in the Star Wars timeline, in the Star Wars universe. She's more of a mysterious type of character during these stages of her life, compared especially when you're looking at her in maybe Star Wars The Clone Wars. She's literally the main character of Star Wars The Clone Wars. We get to know so much more about her. However, after different time jumps all the way up into the Mandoverse here, taking place after the events of the original trilogy with Return of the Jedi, she's now a completely, totally different person. And so I definitely believe it's going to be more than exciting to get to actually explore some of this. As the article goes on to continue to say, the actress also talked about the character of Ahsoka going from animation into live action, as well as of what's really fun about the entire process of her character makeup and that type of stuff. In full quote of what she has to say, I think a big part of it is because you've seen her in the animation. You've gotten to grow up with her and watch her grow up through the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. She was a spunky, spirited teenager in Star Wars The Clone Wars who's really growing into her wisdom and her experiences, and we've all grown up with her. It's not like we were suspended in animation during that time, like we've evolved. When you go back and reflect, you watch those things you see yourself differently. And so I think that's really what the fun is. It just feels real whether it's animation or not. Ending the quote right there, this is something I honestly can't agree with anymore. I just completely agree with this, is that Dave Filoni especially has done a phenomenal job, an amazing job of really bringing this character into our lives, growing up with Star Wars The Clone Wars and getting to know Ahsoka and growing up with her, and furthermore watching her grow up as well. Also, the whole bridging the gap between animation and live action doesn't necessarily feel that it's there, especially when it comes to Ahsoka and her character compared to other animated characters that have been recently brought into live action, such as for Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Grand Inquisitor. There feels like there's a bit of a disconnect. Same thing can be applied for Cad Bane in the book of Boba Fett. However, I think it's different for when it comes to Ahsoka and Bo-Katan. Maybe Bo-Katan's a little bit different since she's human and there's not a whole lot of alien makeup that's going on with that type of stuff, but it's all about really the overall character story and journey there as well. And even then, I honestly believe that Bo-Katan and Ahsoka are very, very much alike. For when it does come to comparing and contrasting the character stories of getting to know these characters so much in Star Wars The Clone Wars or maybe in Star Wars Rebels, and then bringing them all the way into live action, especially after a story gap in between with the original trilogy there, and kind of picking back up and getting to know these characters once again. As the article continues to go on, Rosario Dawson then went on to praise Dave Filoni's decision to showcase Ahsoka evolve and mature throughout her journey, something that we've seen all the way from the start with Star Wars The Clone Wars. In full quote of what she has to say, to see a character that you love and to evolve and mature, like literally mature, I love that this was a decision that was made by Dave Filoni. Like, I'm not putting it all out there. She has some milestones to achieve here, ending the quote right there. This quote's definitely very cool because it's kind of almost teasing at the idea of what she has in the road ahead for her here, what she has her goals to achieve here. And one big thing of that, as we learned at the end of The Mandalorian Season 2, is that she is after Grand Admiral Thrawn, really one of her big main goals. Not just that, but what other things we have to see her come to with terms in her overall character story and journey. Making sure that Ahsoka feels as real as possible is something that Rosario Dawson alluded to in being extremely important when playing the character as well. In the full quote, that is something that I found really, really special, and what I kept going back to doing is when we were filming, is to make sure that she's not flat, is that she is as real as possible, and that she's struggling with her humanity as well, and really humanizing her character as well, and her experiences and her desires and her goals, and like finding that balance in herself, ending the quote right there. And yes, this is something I completely agree with, and something that Star Wars is doing more and more. This is something I believe we're going to see a huge part of within the Andor show, actually, is Star Wars humanizing its characters more and more. This is something that was also touched on within the book of Boba Fett, is Boba Fett having flashbacks and being terrorized and having PTSD essentially, and humanizing his character. He's not a total badass, but he does definitely seem like it. He still has an eternal struggle as well, something he's struggling with as a normal human, something that can better connect us as normal everyday people to these heroes in the Star Wars universe. As the article goes on to say, the Ahsoka actress also talked about how the character of Ahsoka, as well as the show itself, is interwoven with other projects and aspects of a galaxy far, far away. Something I can totally agree with, and I think we can all see here with the ever forever expanding Mandoverse, with both seasons of The Mandalorian and its continuing on seasons, the Book of Boba Fett and its season 2, the Ahsoka show, Rangers of the New Republic, and now Star Wars Skeleton Crew. This here is something that, especially with the Book of Boba Fett, was really starting to pick up here, is interweaving and having these stories really connect better with each other, overlapping essentially, and really having all these other different characters kind of piling up on top of each other essentially, and I guess crossing paths with each other essentially, which is something very cool. When talking about its interwoven aspects of it and having different shows connect with its different characters, of what Rosario Dawson has to say in full quote, what's been amazing I think about Ahsoka and her journey overall of these different shows is that she's interwoven, and I think that what is also really exciting about the Ahsoka series is that it's all interwoven. The world building is really so huge, ending the quote right there. And yes, this is essentially what I just said. I mean, I think it's very self-explanatory, is that it's a huge forever expanding Mandalorian universe. It's only going to get bigger now from this aspect, and introducing new and more characters, but also not oversaturating it, and making sure that there's enough time to allow us to connect and really get to grow and understand the journey of these different characters. From there, the article goes on to say that Rosario Dawson also talked about the intense makeup for Ahsoka, which was a 3-hour process. This is for when filming first began, and how remarkable it is when it was actually finished here. And it's really cool that Ahsoka is an actual practical effect type of character rather than using CGI to accomplish that. It's something that we see oversaturated when it comes to Marvel, and it's something very special, especially when it comes to Star Wars, especially when you look back at the original trilogy and how all of those alien aliens are all actual practical effects. Those are costumes. Those are people in costumes, and they aren't all CGI, which brings it all so more real and makes it all so more better, connecting it to the audience, to its actual characters that we would see within the actual shows and projects here when it comes to Star Wars. Now, in the full quote of what Rosario Dawson has to say about her 3-hour makeup process here, in full quotes, it was a 3-hour process when we first started the makeup. We have gotten it down to just at least the makeup to an hour and a half-ish, which is a great time. The whole look is just around 2 hours, and it's just remarkable. It's such a team effort, and you know, we're doing it at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and just a sort of level of joy and detail, because you gotta love it every single day. You're not just dialing it in. There's no dialing it in when it comes to Star Wars. There's no like, okay, I did this, it's old hat. This is something so very true, and it's so, I guess, promising, especially for us Star Wars fans, when you know that the actors and actresses and people that are working on these shows and projects know that it's all that in a box of Cheez-Its. People care about this stuff. People want every fine little detail to be just about perfect as it can get. So seeing that Rosario Dawson can appreciate that this is Star Wars, and it's not just any old type of whatever movie or TV show project out there, that this is Star Wars, and that there's no just dialing it in and going through the motions when it comes to Star Wars, you have to really actually perform well. And so seeing that she takes that to heart, especially with her, of course, being such a big Star Wars fan, that goes for a lot of new, of course, and current actors and actresses and producers and people that work on these Star Wars shows and projects are all such big Star Wars fans. They grew up with the prequels, they grew up with the original trilogy, and that there is just so very promising to see. From there, the article continues to go on to talk about the pressure of playing Ahsoka, and before we really get into it and read it here, I don't really believe there's all that much, I guess, pressure here when it comes to playing Ahsoka Tano. Not there, at least for, I guess, Rosario Dawson at this point. We've seen her already in The Mandalorian. We've seen her in the Book of Boba Fett, and both times people lose their freaking minds. They go crazy because they love her all so much. This year is Ahsoka Tano, and it's not to really discredit Ashley Eckstein either, the animated voice that, of course, does the voicing for Ahsoka in Star Wars The Clone Wars and also in the Star Wars Rebels shows. They're definitely both Ahsoka and the same character, of course, and they both have a special place in our Star Wars fans' hearts, as the article goes on to say. However, actors who have previously had lead roles in Star Wars have talked about the immense pressure of going into a franchise that is so well established in the entertainment world. However, Rosario Dawson definitely had some added pressure on top of that due with how big of a character Ahsoka really is for the Star Wars community and Star Wars fans out there. Out of the hundreds of characters that were featured in Star Wars The Clone Wars, Ahsoka is arguably the most popular and, in my thoughts and opinions, maybe the best. So fans have already had an established connection with her and this character and want that transition to live action to be really flawless, and so far it really has been flawless. For the most part, the audience has expressed pleasure and enjoyment of how Rosario Dawson has done with portraying Ahsoka in The Mandalorian and in the Book of Boba Fett. The only other major complaint that has been in the prosthetics of her Luke in the Mortels, essentially her headpiece and her head tails, or the horns that she has on the top, aren't long enough. But this is something that Rosario Dawson has really no control of, and that doesn't really affect the important aspects of her character when it comes to storytelling wise. It's simply an appearance from animation to live action, something we talked about here in a separate video on the channel with Dave Filoni talking about the whole Grand Inquisitor going from animation to live action and what he essentially had to say. And this is something I'm going to be preaching like crazy in all of our upcoming future videos, especially for the Ahsoka Tano show, is that what Dave Filoni says is that you need to think of as if the live action had came first and that the animations are simply exaggerated animations of these characters. That there, as a Star Wars nerd, is something I'm going to be living by from now on. It's also important to note, however, that her Luca have been confirmed to be significantly longer in the upcoming Ahsoka series in a previous appearance and actual leaks, something we haven't talked about or covered here on the channel all that much, so look out for that video when it comes to that. Since her first appearance in The Mandalorian, Rosario Dawson has been extremely positive and showed a lot of excitement about playing Ahsoka in live action. Now that she has her own Disney Plus series, fans will be able to spend even more time when it comes to that version of character with getting to know this character, of where they're at in the current state of where the Star Wars timeline is taking place after the events of the original trilogy. Rosario Dawson seems to be more than excited for everyone else to see it. Ahsoka is set to be released sometime in 2023 on Disney Plus. As the article ends right there, as I had mentioned at the beginning of the video, I'm gonna have that full article linked down in the description down below for you guys to check out there as well. There was a lot of different quotes here coming from Rosario Dawson here, and I believe that they actually did recently do an exclusive interview with Entertainment Weekly, something I'll be covering here in the coming days news on the channel here. So make sure you guys look out for that video, as well as our other Star Wars news, leaks, rumors, theories, and breakdown videos here on the channel by hitting the subscribe button and notification bell to be notified for when those videos are coming out. I think it goes without saying that I want to know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. I'd absolutely love to hear what you guys all think. What do you want to see in the Ahsoka Tano show? How do you think Ahsoka has been portrayed here in the live action universe of the Mandoverse? Has it been good, bad? Could it be better? Where would you improve it? What would you change? Let me know of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. I'd absolutely love to hear what you guys all think. Leave a like on the video if you did enjoy it, as it really does help the channel, and check out Instagram Unofficial Star Wars for more Star Wars related content, link down in the description down below. Of course, guys, may the Force be with you. As always, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.